Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 31 Days of Halloween on the Calvin Cam podcast, the podcast where we talk about everything spooky and chilling. I'm Calvin.
And I'm Anthony. And tonight we have the finale of 31 Days of the Calvin Cam podcast, Halloween. So let's get into it.
Okay, everybody, we are back, and we have made it to the 31st episode, and I can't even believe that we've done this. This is such an accomplishment, and I'm so happy that we were able to do this on our podcast. This is incredible.
I'm really tired. I'm going to drink a beer. Salute.
Salute. No, you made it to the end. We can rest.
until next week.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously we're still, we're not going anywhere. But yeah, thank you for all being supportive. Remember, go to YouTube, like and subscribe, follow us on all of our audio streaming platforms for more content. And as well as we have our Patreon. You can join one of our 3 tiers and really, really support us there. It's probably the best place you can do it, and we would appreciate it so much. Yeah. So let's get into today's episode. The 31st episode on Halloween, obviously, has to be 1978's Halloween. So this movie it's
a classic.
It's a classic. It's John Carpenter's work at its best, next to The Thing, obviously. But I think that he is just such a master filmmaker when it comes to these kinds of movies. And what he did with Halloween is just incredible. What's really hilarious though about this is I hadn't seen this movie I don't think ever. I thought that I did, but upon watching it I was like, I actually don't think I've seen this. I thought that I had seen Halloween, but I was mistaking it with a different Halloween that I had seen. I'm pretty sure I had watched Halloween 3. And so I was like...
So you watched a sequel?
Yeah, I watched a sequel. And for whatever reason, I thought that was Halloween 1. Nope. So watching this for the first time, I was just I was mesmerized about how well done this movie is. It is incredible. I can't even believe it. So I really, really liked this movie upon watching it. And before we get into it any further, let's do a little description on the movie.
Let's do a quick description of the movie. Halloween is a 1978 independent slasher film directed and scored by John Carpenter, co-written and produced by Deborah Hill. It stars Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis in her film debut, PJ Solis, Nancy Loomis in supporting roles. Set mostly in a fictional town of Haddonfield, Illinois, the plot centers a mental patient, Michael Myers, who's committed to a sanatorium for murdering his teenage sister on Halloween night when she was a child. 15 years later, having escaped and returned to his hometown, he stalks a teenage babysitter, Laurie Strode, and her friends under pursuit of his psychiatrist, Dr. Samuel Loomis.
Yeah, this is such an interesting movie. I have to say, let's just start at the beginning of this movie. It has some of the best cinematography.
Yeah.
For its time, especially. Wow. The opening shot of it just on the Myers house, and then the camera moving up forward. And it's not until the camera kind of moves a little bit off center that you realize, oh, this is actually a person's perspective. It is Mike Myers' perspective.
As a 6-year-old child. And I can see how this film inspired all these filmmakers and all these horror filmmakers, because this movie kind of set off the 80s. Literally set off the 80s. Everything that came after this, you can see inspiration from this film in it. So the whole thing of Myers' house, the transition in first person. I like the first person perspective when Michael Myers grabs the knife and he proceeds to go up the stairs. He picks up his mask and then puts it on.
Yep.
And then you have the mask vignette on top of his face as he's moving through, and then he eventually gets to his sister and he just kills her. And then he comes downstairs and his parents are there, and he's just standing there with his mask and his costume from Halloween, and then he just
staring.
drops. He's
Yeah.
just staring, and then he drops the knife, and then that's how the movie starts.
Yeah, and then you get the score. Ding ding ding
Yeah.
ding 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 ding. Yeah. Really, really great opening and really engaging and like an easy hook for
Yeah,
audiences.
it hooks you in immediately. The movie does.
So then you move over into kind of like what is it, 15 years later, in 1978, on Halloween Day, and you get the car. Who is it? The psychiatrist.
The psychiatrist is with like a nurse or
Yeah,
something. in
and
the
so they're
car.
heading to the whatchamacallit, facility, and there's all of the patients are outside in the dark and like roaming around, and he's talking to her like, we
Why are the
can't let him go. Like we can't, we have to make sure that everything's good, everything's situated before he goes before the judge and everything like that. You know what I mean? So well, I think he mentions that a little like in the next scene, but he's explaining to her like why Michael's so dangerous for
Yeah.
a second. So
Yeah, he gives her the overview on Michael's background history as being just this demented kid.
he's just a psychopath.
Yeah. And and then we get into the whole thing. They stop, he jumps on the top of the car, and then he harasses and terrifies the nurse, and then steals the car. And then
Yeah.
then-
one of my favorite lines is right here because the psychiatrist is like, the evil has escaped. Like
yeah.
the dialogue's a little funny, and I just think it's played up so much of like who Mike Myers is, because like all we know about him is that he killed his sister, and you don't really get much information of why he's so dangerous other than the fact that he's a sociopath, obviously, but you don't like get to see any of that in this film, which I think is a little funny, but it's not the focus of this film. So, but the whole time I was just wondering, like, this doctor clearly like has to know some shit, like, that's going on in this.
I mean,
kid's
at least
head.
it gives it some sort of structure of the story. Like you at least know who the guy is,
Yeah.
and what he's done with the beginning of the film and now. So the story's kind of structured in the beginning with a little bit. So,
I just think it's funny because like
Yeah.
he only murdered one person.
Yeah,
And so like they're treating him as if he's like a mass murderer. So
yeah.
that's the only thing that I thought was a little like silly, but
We'll go into it later.
Yeah.
But this movie starts off really good, and you get a whole background of the teenagers and Laurie Strode and her friends.
Mhm.
But this whole time as this is happening, I mean, she's a babysitter. You get these wonderful shots of like Michael Myers, like he shows up in the car behind them,
watching
he's-
from across the street.
yeah, watching from across the street, and you get these nice shots of him just standing there and watching.
I love that. When like what's her name, Lori, or
Annie,
no, Jamie Lee Curtis's character,
Laurie
Lori.
Strode.
Yeah, when Lori's like walking down like a path on the sidewalk, and like you see her go. I think I noticed this the first time it happened, but like you see her walking until she's like gets further and further away, and then in the same shot, Michael like shoulder steps in, and he's just standing there. I love it. It's so eerie and so suspenseful. It's amazing.
Yeah, and those shots just basically follow up like most of the film.
Mhm.
Like, and when that happens, the score comes in and the suspense builds like a little bit.
He's around.
Yeah, he's like that tune of that music. That Michael Myers is around, and just so many shots. Like when she's walking with Annie home, and he just comes out of the bush and just stands there for like a second.
Mhm.
And then Annie's like, "What are you staring at?" She's like, "There's a guy over there." And then she like fucks with her, like stands there like, "Hey, he wants to talk to you," and all that shit. And I thought that was really good. That shot where that's basically the first shot you see like Michael Myers with his mask on. Like I think that's the first shot you actually see him.
Yeah, it is.
And then the next one is when she's home and she peers out the window and he's like right there by the clothesline. He like pops out and he's there. There's
Yeah,
that one.
yeah,
That
and the
one's really
close.
cool.
That's such a great shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he disappears.
And then he disappears
Yeah.
again.
It's really cool. He's the fact that they make it so like just like chilling is just John Carpenter does such a great job at just making you feel like this presence is not to fuck with. So
Yeah, and like I said, those shots continue. I even like the shot when he's talking to the police officers talking to the psychiatrist, and you get that little nod of, "Do you see the car driving by? It was him."
Yep.
In the in the parole car or whatever the car was. I think it was the parole car that he stole. But yeah, there's just so many good shots in this movie. Even the shots when they're like at Annie's house, because most of the time it takes place at Annie's house. Like even the shots when Michael's like he's walking, like the little kid gets picked on by the other kids.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's walking, like there's that little shot, like those pan shots where he's just walking and he's following the little kid like at school.
And they
like,
get picked on, and then the one kid like comes out, and then like Michael's like, he's
it's
he's
it's
like looking
just,
up.
It's just so well shot, and the suspense building and the pacing in this movie. I have to say, the pacing before the first kill, which is basically Annie in her car when she goes to pick up her boyfriend.
Yeah.
So I just thought the whole lead up to that scene was just really good on building suspense with Michael Myers and all the cinematography. Like it like sets the ground of this movie. Like,
And I like how it shows like Michael's like fixation on Laurie. So
yeah, and on the girls and like
Yeah.
everybody,
yeah,
and even the little boy.
yeah, just right off the get. So, but oh yeah, and I think the kills are good too. Like
Yeah.
I think the kills are all good. Like he does a really great job when he kills what's her name, her boyfriend, and he like holds him up and stabs
Yeah.
him and hangs him basically on the wall.
with the knife,
Yeah.
which was kind of cool. And there was also the one where he kills his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
She's talking to Lori on the phone. Remember, she's like,
Yeah.
"Stop playing with me." It's kind of like
When he shows up, he has a sheet on.
Yeah.
He has the sheet on in the glass.
Yeah.
And it's like,
She's like, quit fooling with me. You have my beer. It's like really funny.
yeah,
And just that kill. And when he actually kills her, like he's on the phone with Laurie Strode when she's on the phone with her.
Yeah.
And she's like, quit messing with me. And then you just get those little nods to like horror. Like you
Another-
can see like Scream like influences with the phone calls.
so many things. Many things. This is a really like true stepping stone in the slasher genre. So another really great little thing that I love that is done in this movie is Michael's breathing.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's like a key element of his character is you
Yeah.
just hear his breathing through his perspective on cam, and I love it. So
Yeah, and it's just like I said, all the kills are great too. Like when Lori comes in and she finds everybody dead. Like
yeah,
the
and
way
the
Michael had it.
headstone
Yeah,
on the bed.
the
and-
headstone on the bed. Yeah, that was cool. But the best shot, you know which shot I'm talking about? I think it's the best shot in the entire movie.
What shot? What do you think?
It's the shot where Laurie Strode comes up the stairs and she comes this way, and you see this figure come out of the dark, and they did it really well. Like in the upper right-hand corner, you see Michael Myers' face as she comes out.
I love
It's the
it.
best shot in the whole movie.
It is amazing. Yeah, that is a really good one. They do it. Yeah, that one is really good. I'm just thinking like all of the shots.
There's too many good shots to talk about, but that one for me is the best shot in this entire movie.
I like the one where when he goes right before he goes to stab her, when after she's discovered her friend's bodies, and she, first it's Annie on the bed, and then it's the boyfriend. She opens the closet and he drops down upside down hanging, and then she backs up into the corner. It's like, ah! And then the cupboard flies open and it's the other girl dead in the closet. And so then it like forces her to move to the other side of the room, and she's just there. And then the dark, the dark doorway, and you just see Michael's face just like out of the darkness, just like slightly appear.
Yeah, that was the shot I was talking
Oh,
about.
that's what you were talking about? Okay,
Yeah.
I was just like, I thought it was a different one. I'm sorry.
No, that was not. Those are the shots we were talking. That was talking about.
Okay,
Sorry.
that was the best shot.
Yeah, that was the best shot in the
That
entire
was the
movie. I'm
best-
sorry.
No, I thought you were talking about a different one.
No,
I
that
had a
was the
different one
shot.
pictured in my head.
Yeah,
so
because she comes up the stairs. Remember? And he
that's
comes
what
right
it
out.
was. So beautiful.
Yeah, best shot in the entire movie.
Beautiful shot. So, yeah, and then he stabs her, and she freaks out, goes up. I love that she like. I thought it was funny that she chose to like hide in the closet.
Yeah, I
like he
thought-
just was like breaking the closet.
Yeah, and she just pulled down a hanger and made some like
She,
crazy
like,
weapon
pokes
with
his
it.
eye.
And she goes pokes him, and then just like she falls. But man, I really thought that Lori should have just kept that knife with her. She dropped it every single time. But it is what it is.
But that's a part of this genre. That's
Yeah.
a part of the
Yeah,
slasher.
I get it.
So yeah, it's great. And I like how, another great shot was after she stabs Michael and she goes over in the corner and she's just kind of like resting for a second, and you see Michael laying on the ground and then him just like dead rise up. Like,
Yeah.
yep.
That's
Awesome.
another good shot.
Awesome shot. And he just plank
Yeah.
turn.
There's just so many shots to talk about. We can't really talk about them all in this episode.
It's such a good movie. I would love to do a full breakdown episode of the whole movie because there's so much.
It's worth it.
So much good stuff to talk about.
It's
in
worth it.
Let's move on into this though because we're nearing the end.
I wanted to add one more thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead before we rate.
we end. I love how John Carpenter pays homage to old cinema, and he just references The Thing before he makes The Thing.
Yeah, the
Like, you see the-
original thing.
It's like you see when the kids are watching it, you see the opening credits of Howard Hawks as The Thing. Like,
So
it's
great.
really, really awesome, and you can see that he loved that movie, and that's why it's his best movie that he said. So
it's good.
we did an episode on The Thing. It's our second episode, so go watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point too. A lot of love for this movie. This was great. Such a good watch. I'm so glad that I actually got to experience it like for the first time. So, yeah, I'm going to rate this movie a solid 4.5 out of 5. I think that this was everything that I wanted it to be and everything that somebody who loves slasher films hopes for. The story is good because it's very simple and it's simple
straight
and,
to the point.
and straight to the point, and it is gripping. The pacing is perfect. I think the pacing's great. I think that where the half star that I give it is the acting. I think that although I love, I absolutely love Jamie Lee Curtis. I just think that maybe it's the dialogue or the acting. I don't know. Combination of the two, I think are just the weakest parts because it's a little silly. And I'm not sure if it's meant to be that way because of the genre, but because I mean, obviously we have our ditzy characters in slashers and they make dumb decisions, all the horror tropes, whatever, whatnot, Randy and Scream goes over it. So go watch Scream. But I just think that's probably the weakest part because, like even from the very beginning when Michael like stabs his sister, she's like,
Yeah,
Like-
it's pretty bad. It's kind of like even the intro to Friday the 13th, the movie we reviewed a couple weeks ago. Go check it out. It's the number 13, obviously.
Anthony knows all of these
Yeah,
episodes.
I'm just kind of complimenting the same kind of acting. Like
No,
when
yeah.
the girl in the beginning goes, she like flies into the corner. Yeah, so I agree with you on the acting part
Yeah,
of it being
so
really bad.
I think that's like literally all I can think about. I think it has possibly one of the most brilliant scores in all of cinema. John Carpenter is this is forever.
Yeah, he
like
did the score and everything in
this is one of the most memorable scores to date. This movie has spawned a complete legacy. Has like however many sequels to it. I mean, only like 3 true sequels, I guess, but like there are so many movies in this franchise, as well as games. Like there are games that this is spawned off of, or Dead by Daylight.
DLC, I think.
Yeah, just tons of stuff. Mike Myers is in Fortnite. Like,
Yeah, Well, he's an iconic character.
He's just one of the most iconic. But I love everything about this movie. I think the cinematography, directing, etc. Let's go over to you. What do you rate this movie?
4.5, just like you.
It's just amazing.
And the reason why I dock it is ideally it's the same. You have the same views as I do on this movie. The acting is not as good. They did their they did the job. I mean, they acted and did the job. They conveyed what they needed to convey on screen for their characters. And I thought like I said, the story was solid in this movie, even though it's brief. I did want to mention this, and now I'm going to mention it. Yeah. Like when Donald Pleasance, I think he plays Dr. Sam Loomis, like he's waiting at the house, and they go inside the Myers house, and he's talking to the sheriff, and he tells him like, stuff about Michael Myers. Like I could just see it in his eyes that he was like the devil reincarnate. He said stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool because it puts a little bit more, not much more on the story, but
but it's just like enough to like still keep you like questioning the mystery of Michael Myers. You know?
And so that, and then the score, comes in and to build suspense always. And that is probably number 3, but number 4 would probably be the cinematography. The cinematography is absolutely amazing in this movie. Just showing the campiness and stockiness of Michael Myers' character. Like, you can't beat it. It's like this movie it kind of paves the way. Like I said, it paves the way for the 80s and all the movies that were made in the 80s, like all the horror movies. Like this movie inspired all filmmakers to make, this type of 80s slashers,
yeah.
and it basically it opened the genre for it, and I'm glad that John Carpenter made this movie because he's phenomenal, and he's a great director. And 4.5, this movie's solid. It's worth watching every Halloween. I mean, it's Halloween, you have to watch it. So
I feel like it's necessary.
That's what I think about this movie.
All right. Awesome. Let's get into the fun facts for Halloween.
Do you have the facts?
I do. Here we go. From a budget of $300,000 over a 20-day shoot, the film went on to gross $47 million at the U.S. box office. In 2008, takings that would be the equivalent of $150 million. Making Halloween one of the most successful independent films of all time.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of money for 1978.
For a $300,000 budget, that's insane.
Well, you can see how this movie like paves the way for like John Carpenter's career, because like didn't he make like The Fog next, and then after The Fog he made The Thing or something?
I don't remember the order, but I want to say yes. So. Let's see. John Carpenter considered the hiring of Jamie Lee Curtis as the ultimate tribute to Sir Alfred Hitchcock, who had given her mother, Janet Leigh, legendary status in Psycho 1960. For the same reason, Dr. Sam Loomis was named after Sam Loomis from Psycho. So...
that is cool.
During the same period, Universal Studio producers and director Richard Franklin were trying to enroll Jamie Lee in the new production of Psycho 2 in 1983.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
I just like John Carpenter because he pays homage to like all the master horror makers, and Alfred Hitchcock could probably be argued to be like one of the best ones at the time period. Well,
Psycho is the original slasher film.
It is.
Like that is the one that started that. So.
And then he had all these, he kind of like put all that horror on the map with his Alfred Hitchcock Theater.
Yeah. The stabbing sound effect is a knife stabbing a watermelon. Let's see. John Carpenter's intent with the character of Michael Myers was the audience should never be able to relate to him. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because
that is cool.
we always try and make our characters relatable. Like that's really cool to make somebody who's not relatable. Of the female leads, all the girls are supposed to be in high school. Only Jamie Lee Curtis was a teenager, being 19 at the time of shooting.
Wow, that's cool.
Half of the $300,000 budget was spent on the Panavision cameras, so the film would have a 2.35:1 scope. Donald Pleasance was paid $20,000 for 5 days of work.
Wow. So you can see that the camera they chose was worth it.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do to make a good movie.
John Carpenter knows what he's doing.
The story is based on an experience John Carpenter had in college touring a psychiatric hospital. Oh my God, words are so bad. Words are hard for me, man. Carpenter met a child who stared at him with a look of evil, and it terrified him.
So that kind of probably fleshed out the character in a way.
Yeah. Let's see. Halloween was shot in 20 days in the spring of 1978.
Wow. They did a good job, though, for the time they had.
The Halloween theme is written in the rare 5/4 time signature. John Carpenter learned this rhythm from his father. The dark lighting comes from necessity. The crew didn't have enough money for lights.
They did phenomenal, like with the camera technology and the lighting, the way it's shot. Like, it looks phenomenal. You know what I mean?
The film was shot out of sequence. John Carpenter created a fear meter so that Jamie Lee Curtis would know what level of terror she should be exhibiting.
A fear meter.
Fear meter.
That's in so many video games, a fear meter.
The opening POV sequence took 2 days to film.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Let's see. Jamie Lee Curtis's first feature film, as you said before. She was paid a reported $8,000 for her efforts. I mean, independent filmmaking.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
Like, and that's
it is.
Hey, 8,000 is 8,000.
But,
Like,
but you got to think about 1978. $8,000 is
yeah.
probably a lot of money.
it's a lot of money now. I mean, I don't have $8,000.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jamie Lee Curtis admits she made up the quote "just the two of us" song she sang to herself at the movie's beginning when she was walking home from school.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Let's see. John Carpenter composed the score in 4 days,
which is amazing.
And last but not least, to ensure Michael Myers would break the window of the station wagon as Dr. Loomis approaches the insane asylum, a wrench was adhered to his forearm and hand. It was then painted flesh-colored to hide from the camera, but it still is clearly visible in the shot. I was wondering about that. Like, I was like, did he grab a rock or something to break the window? Like, when she's in the car and it's just like...
I didn't even notice it. It was just like, God, Michael Myers is a big guy. He's strong.
It was
smash the window.
The sound that he made, like, I was like, dang, like, that sounded like he like had to have had something. So that's going to be it for all the fun facts. There's a ton out there. I recommend going check out all the fun facts for Halloween because it's great. There's so many. We did it.
We did it, guys.
We did it.
Oh, man. What a journey this has been. How much work this was, but it was so self-rewarding. I feel like I learned a lot about editing this.
And now Anthony can rest.
Yeah, I can rest for a week, and then I'm gonna be on the high horse again, and doing the next couple of episodes for next week. Get ready for some new content.
Yes. Excited to get back to our regular schedule. We're going to have everything planned out. We'll make an announcement soon. Thank you all so much for following along this October. It was incredible. I cannot wait to do it again. Actually, I can wait to do it again. But I am excited to obviously do this in 2024. So this will be great as a regular thing. We'll have a new set by then, hopefully, if things go planned right. Yeah, like, thank you all. Just a reminder, please, please, please like and subscribe. We really would appreciate it. It goes so far, you have no idea.
Yeah,
So
we want to keep doing this. So if you want to see us come out with more content, please like and subscribe, because that definitely helps us grow and get bigger, and we can be doing this on the regular if you like the show.
yeah, we can. Yeah, there's so much we can do. So thank you all so much, very much. Happy Halloween, everyone. Good night.
Yeah, be safe with your children. Trick or treat.
Thank you all so much for watching the Calvin Cam podcast. You can find us on any social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter. Go check our podcast out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. We also have YouTube channel, the Calvin Cam. Go over there, hit that like and subscribe button, and follow us there. As well as you can now really support us on Patreon.com. It's probably the best place to support us. So you can go there, join one of our 3 tiers, and help us get bigger and better, and we will appreciate you every step of the way. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good night.